Out there, learn to stay. Can a broken heart get back to me?
So many questions begging for answers. So one of such question is how are we going to defeat this monster called corruption in Nigeria? One of the effective tools, well, in quotes, that the federal government or the presidency has come up with to actually stamp out corruption or defeat corruption is the whistleblower policy. And that was a policy that was seen in so many quarters as a masterstroke. That is one particular tool that so many people believe will go a long way in exposing official corruption, fraud, malpractices, impunity, lawlessness in the high and the low places of the society. Well, it is a bit unfortunate also that that has been a very, very tortuous, long road. Um, when it was announced that whistleblowers will actually get about 10% of the amount that is either recovered or discovered in any fraud related case, a lot of Nigerians actually grabbed whistles, either physical whistle or whatever, to actually expose corruption. And one of such is the $43 million cash found in Osborne Towers in Ikoyi, Lagos. That's about 13 billion naira. But reports reaching us indicates, which has also been confirmed by the EFCC, is that that particular whistleblower is yet to be paid by the federal government. And of course, you will also recall that before then, the EFCC was claiming that many whistleblowers have been paid for doing a great job. But this time around, with the discordant tunes, the different disagreements over this particular claim, talking about the whistleblower that exposed the $43 million cash in Ikoyi. One disturbing report day before yesterday, and of course this morning, is that Professor Itin Sagi, who is the chairman Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption, is saying that, well, the problem we have is that we are trying to protect this whistleblower so that it doesn't run mad. We don't want him to run mad because if you calculate the commission that the whistleblower will get is running to about 890 million naira. Well, I don't know, maybe they've been able to check his profile to see that he's a very, very poor man, and so maybe 800 something million naira would actually make him go insane. We don't know. But that is a disturbing one, and some have said that that could affect that policy and it also deter others from exposing corruption. But the Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, has said that, well, don't worry, that's a sacrosanct, that whistleblower will be paid. But a report this morning has also raised some more questions, which is the fact that about 10 more people are now claiming to have whistleblowed to expose what happened in Ikoyi. So you now have not only one person getting ready to claim that commission, but about 10 people now. Is that not going to throw more confusion to the whole scenario? Aghemerio?
Well, confusion or no confusion, the fact is they've been able to come out to, or they've been able to blow the whistle, and the whistle blown, or the whistles blown were not fake whistles. Actually, they were able to, we had some money recovered. Now, this whistleblowing policy, in just 4 months, Nigeria has reportedly recovered, the 4 months into the policy, a colossal of 17 billion naira, and that is to the tune of $57 million in looted funds. Okay, and now this initiative launched by President Muhammadu Buhari just late last year would allow citizens to report financial misconduct or suspicious economic activity anonymously. Now, mark the word anonymously. Well, from the looks of things now, if you're talking about the payments or someone who ought to be paid, Nigerians are, or people are getting to know who actually blew that whistle. Is that still anonymous? Okay, I don't want to think so. Or maybe I'm wrong about that. We have a guest in the studio. He's going to tell us if that person is still anonymous or not. And now, in the tip-off result, if funds, if the funds are recovered eventually, the whistleblower is rewarded with up to 2.5 to 5% of the seized money, and now 17 billion naira or 57 billion. No, so talking about the $43 million now.
Cash, that's 13 billion now.
Naira. That's a whole lot. Now, so if the government is actually saying that the person might run mad, maybe they've got a point at that point. But I think I want to just hold on to the word anonymous here. How anonymous is this person? Now, we've also had some people from some quarters actually saying that it's a dangerous adventure. Whistleblowing policy is a dangerous one, and we should also look into that the people doing the whistleblowers, how protected are they if they have been let out of the bag, if their identities are being known? How safe are they? Now we've talked enough. Let's just have a guest to do justice to some of the questions we will be raising on Citizens Forum this morning.
Yes, so we have in the studio a learned fellow, one time the chairman of the Nigerian Association NBA Abeokuta branch. She's a legal practitioner based here in Ogun State. I'm talking about no one else but Mr. Patrick Iwu. Mr. Iwu, you're welcome once again to the Daybreak Show.
Thank you very much. Good morning, listeners.
All right, Patrick Iwu, let's go straight into it. A lot of people cheered the presidency when this whistleblower policy came into light. As a matter of fact, other agencies, especially security agencies, were clamoring for that to also happen in their own agencies. For example, people felt that those who could expose large cash or small light weapons in some areas could also be involved in this whistleblower policy so that people can expose what you call a stockpile of arms. Those some other sectors were also looking at that policy, which means it was a good step in the right direction. But with this recent controversy and confusion trailing the payment of commission to whistleblowers, eh, do you have any fear that it will not work as earlier felt by so many Nigerians?
Of course, it cannot work that way any longer. You ask yourself this question. Ever since that incident, how many people are blowing whistles now? The whistle seems to have dried up. You see, that whistle blowing policy for me is a nice one, but it also shows that the Buhari administration was never prepared. They really never sat down to look at it wholeheartedly. What is the pros? What is the cons? How do we do this thing? They just woke up, somebody woke up one morning, came up with this idea of whistleblowing. Fine. And we've seen it yielded the desired result to the extent that the government itself is even confused as what to do from there. You see, if the government had been prepared, in fact, the whistleblowing policy would have been part of maybe a sort of structure, an anti-corruption structure. Like for instance, if there had been a tribunal, for instance, now with this whistle blowing something, all you need to do, well, this money has been recovered. Whoever wants to claim, go to the tribunal within a so and so time to lay claim or otherwise. And with such a special tribunal, all this argument of this is blah 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 in the High Court will be eliminated. Now, fine. Telling me that the man might go mad at the sight of money in Nigerian, I beg to disagree. In fact, I don't know. I don't know. I that such a thing could come from Professor Isesage is most unfortunate. The man has blown the whistle, the government has retrieved the money, they should pay him.
What exactly could be wrong? Because the report we got this morning is that about 10 other people are claiming to have blown the whistle, and that led to the discovery of this $43 million cash. Could it be that this is the reason why they are trying to be careful?
No. They have their record. Like EFCC, I think I overheard EFCC also saying that they have their record of who blew the whistle.
Yes.
Okay, they have the record. So all those ones, well, of course, Nigeria is a very dynamic society. Even the longer the government the little is paying, the more some people will coming out to act out the street. So I think it's not as maybe the government has realized a problem. Now, don't forget the fact that somebody owns that money, or some people own.
Yes.
And well, this is a country where somebody knows somebody who knows somebody. So I think the problem now is maybe the owners now in quotes
are trying to
beautiful. So now if you pat that huge sum, where will you get it to replace? So that is what I personally think. Given the kind of background we have as a nation.
That those who
of course, and you do not those who own this may not be people like you and me on the street. Of course, don't rule out the possibility of people who are still in this government, given the Mena scandal and all that. Yes. People who are still in this government.
Now, will it be right to say that this policy is actually a risky venture?
It is a very, very risky venture, for goodness sake. It is a very risky venture. It is a very risky.
Is it for the government or for the whistleblower or the people who have the money kept?
For the whistleblower, for his family or her family, even for the government official.
How? Could you explain it further?
Of course, we now ask yourself question: why is it that the Senate has refused to confirm Magu as substantive chairman of this thing? Some of these things, I said, some of these things might be connected. It may not be this particular case, but cases like this. Given the caliber of our senators, our distinguished senators, we all know how distinguished they are. So, and these are the people you think will give a free hand to fighting corruption in Nigeria without having to pay a price? That is a problem.
Now, let's also look at, because the whistleblower ought to be protected.
Yes.
And he or she ought to remain anonymous. Now, from the looks of things and the way things are going now, some people already know who the whistleblower or the whistleblowers are. Now, what do you think? How do you think this can be acted on, and how safe do you think these whistleblowers are in an actual sense?
Let me say this. I for one want to let me now put myself in the position of the whistleblower, assuming there is only one whistleblower and he's a man. If I'm in his shoes, I will do exactly the same thing. Rather than forfeit that amount of money, I would rather put my life on the stake to get that money, because it's a debt now the state owes him.
Do you see anything shady about this whole thing?
If there's anything shady, it's on the part of the government. If there's anything shady, which I have every reason now to suspect that there is a shady dealing going, while the government is now dragging its foot. Because if the government had done what it ought to have, but we would have even forgotten who the fellow is. In fact, maybe the fellow would have even gone somewhere on vacation. Because if I get that money, of course, that's what I'll do. In fact, take the entire village to one Caribbean island, sitting by the seaside from morning till night.
So how sincere can we say that the government is of this whole policy?
The government, to me, has not been sincere. And this is a very, very, very big minus on the administration of President Muhammad Buhari.
With this whole thing, or the scenario coming up now, the kind of drama coming up now, do you see it affecting this whole policy?
Of course, yes.
Negatively or
negatively. Because the thing is, before you now start picking up your whistle and blowing, you will now think twice. Now, what is the essence? I blow this thing, I will not be paid. What is the essence? I blow this and I will be exposed in the process of collecting the money. Now you sacrifice the life of your family, your life, the life of your family and everybody. I think it's affecting it. And believe you me, if the fellow who built that whistle had been paid before now, perhaps maybe the country there would have been whistled left, right, and center. But the government dilly-dallying, I think it's affecting that policy.
Because that seems to be the biggest,
of course,
of the heist
yes,
so far.
Yes.
Now, what can the government do, or what can the president do to arrest this decline in people's confidence in his anti-corruption war?
The only thing they can do in this instance is to pay the fellow, whoever he is, and keep quiet about all these other things. Any other person claiming, let that person come forward. They can deal with him with the machinery of the law. Of course, we've seen instances where the alleged people gave false information to police. They were prosecuted. Fine, you come, and if it's proved you didn't, you go in for it.
Now, this calls to mind once again the clamor for a separate court to actually try corruption cases. Do you think that would have gone a long way in checking many of these controversies?
Yes, as I said earlier, that special court or special tribunal would have been an integral part of that corruption war. The thing is, the government, they wanted to fight corruption. I'm not holding brief for Buhari. Well, I will look at it, yes, what happened in 1983 and how politicians turned it out. We all knew what the extent to which AIT went, bringing on those issues. Now, the man might be, well, okay, if I should do this, and now people will, and he himself saying he's a truly confessed, born again Democrat. Well, in actual fact, this country needs the Buhari of 1983. This is my personal opinion. I am entitled to it, and I may be wrong. This country now needs a Buhari and a Diagon of 1983 more than ever before. Because if you have to fight corruption, you don't fight corruption with big blues. You have to fight corruption the hard way.
If you're talking about the Buhari and Idiagbon of that,
yes.
Now, are you not talking about military coming back here now?
It's not a person of military. It's a person of that discipline. It's a person of like what they did that time. What the only problem there was that they set up this tribunal. They were headed more like military personnel who just sat down, whispered left and right, and started dishing out indiscriminate prison sentence. Okay, but if you do it properly, set out the structure, set out the law, set out the tribunal headed by a retired judge of the High Court, for instance, or even a serving High Court judge specifically for that court, and then a special procedure that is very like the French system. Under the French law, by the time you are arraigned, you are presumed guilty, or you are assumed guilty. It's for you now to argue out your innocence. So cases like corruption, because it's an unusual something that it requires an unusual treatment. Okay, so such a tribunal, once you are alleged, you embezzled, you stole, you did whatever it is with money, you are presumed guilty. You now prove how that amount came into your possession. Just like the case they are doing with the former First Lady, for goodness sake. All this issue of freezing bank account here and this thing is unnecessary. Take her to the tribunal. Explain how, as First Lady, you earned so and so amount, or how your mother or your grandmother, as the case, got that money. It's as easy as that. If you are unable to explain, that money goes to the government and you serve the necessary punishment.
Now, some are still of the belief that this government is still, that's the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, is still not sincere about this fight against corruption. What do you have to say to that?
I personally want to disagree over the issue of sincerity. Yes, the Buhari, I don't know him personally, but from his antecedents, okay, he is sincere about waging this corruption. But then, don't forget the fact that a man cannot wage a war alone. He needs people.
And you think he doesn't have the right set of people around him?
I do not think so. That is number one. And number two, even Nigerians themselves, we are not yet ready for a corruption-free society.
What will make us ready?
When we as individuals start to fight corruption within our own environment. And in a case like a situation where the government will now, some individuals will now say, yes, so yes, the government is a one-sided war. That the Buhari administration is only picking on PDP, the opposition. Fine. Now, how I wish that were to be so. How I wish the administration of the APC administration would pick up all corrupt PDP. Then let PDP fight for their true elections. Let them win. Then let them in turn pick all corrupt APC officials. I think the system will be sanitized.
All right. Okay, Tobi.
Okay, you want to go ahead.
Okay, now you let's still look at this policy, the whistleblowing policy. Now, when the policy was thrown up last year, of course, it brought joy and it into the heart of so many Nigerians. To some, it means nothing actually, but there's still this thought and belief that it is still not, the way to go about solving this corruption problems. What do you think about that?
Yes, I think it is one of the ways.
One of the ways.
One of the ways. I think it is because, of course, we all know how these things happen. We all know, you don't expect these corrupt officials themselves to carry this money. Somebody did it for them. Somebody dug the socket away where these things were kept. They didn't do it themselves. Somebody put it there, and most likely, people, servants working for them. And at the end of the day, you find, don't be surprised that these people are paid pittance. They are not happy doing it.
Now, let's look at the whistleblowers. How clean are they?
Well, of course, it's a different thing entirely. Okay? But then, if any other fellow can blow whistle against that fellow, good and fine.
Because the fact is, before any whistleblower can get to know about this kind of huge amount of money being stashed somewhere, he would have been somewhat an insider.
Beautiful. That is why, and that's the essence of the whole thing. Somebody who one way or the other, or the fellow may not be an insider per se, but he may have obtained that information from an insider. And you see, one thing is basic. This whistleblowing policy has no structure. It was a mere announcement by the government. Now, don't be surprised that they may not even have any policy guideline regarding that to back it up. Okay, so I think that's one of the problems they are having. So it was a pronouncement made by the government, and the thing now has started yielding the desired result. They are now confused as to what to do next.
Okay.
Because they know if this thing continues, there's going to be a problem for them.
Now, let us look at one angle to this whole issue. Don't forget that this $43 million cash that you're talking about that was found in Ikoyi is yet to be permanently forfeited to the federal government. It's still under temporary forfeiture. What is the fate of both the cash and even the commission of the whistleblower?
That's what I'm saying. It's a clear indication of that lack of clear-cut guideline of policy. Okay, if they had, yes, young man or young woman, as the case may be, congratulations, you have served your country, you have helped us in doing this thing. But look, we can only pay you this when these things have been done. When we have gotten a final order of, are you with me? The fellow will understand. Nigerians will understand. I myself will understand. But then coming to tell us that the man might go mad. I have not seen any Nigerian that has gone mad over money. Dangote was not born with one kobo. And Dangote is a multi-billionaire today. He has not gone mad over money. So if you pick even a madman, giving this kind of money to make him well. So the government should not tell us this.
Okay.
And the law this administration is having is that there is no opposition. That is number one. And number two, of course, the opposition cannot even support this kind of thing because they know the thing is coming back to haunt them.
Okay. Now we have this controversy. What exactly is the way forward? Before now, even the the chairman of the PACAC, of the Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption, led by Professor Zesagi, had run running battles with not only the National Assembly as regards the war on corruption, but even the Attorney General of the Federation seems not to be in tandem with what exactly is happening. The EFCC boss is also having running battles with the Attorney General of the Federation and also with the DSS. These are key agencies, key components of the anti-corruption war. How can this be sorted out?
You see, that these agencies at war within themselves is a clear-cut indication that not everybody in this administration is ready for the anti-corruption war. Okay, that is number one. Having said that, now if the government if they have to save their face, if they have to make us believe that they are really sincere about this, whoever blew that way, in fact, all whistleblowers should be paid, or you promise them. That is the only way. There are no two ways about it.
The Minister of Finance, Aghemerio, actually said, and I want to quote, he said, to date, over 20 of such persons have been paid. From available records, the payment due on Ikoyi is among those being processed in the November batch, which will be released within the current month. That means before the end of November, the whistleblower that helped them in recovering the $43 million cash will be paid.
Then somebody should tell Professor Issa Segi, for goodness sake, to keep quiet. He is the one that is hitting the politics in the first place. That his comment was the one that aggravated whoever it was that responded through the lawyer. So if they had said this to that fellow, or even to Nigerians, I don't think anybody would have been breaking his head over this. Okay? Yes, we are give us some time, we are processing it, given the amount of money. Or, okay, young man or young woman, given this, we want to let us pay you in this because of your security. For goodness sake. So by the time you even pay him 20% of that man, but the man is, he may even forget the balance. Okay, but now telling him he will is something I can't. I do not know who the fellow is. Okay, but then it's unwarranted.
Now, this is one thing that we must also look at, Patrick Iwu. Under this policy, the identity of the whistleblower is supposed to be protected. It's supposed to be concealed. Under no circumstance should that be revealed in any way. But with this hula baloo, with about 9 more people coming out to claim it, would that not expose the identity of this whistleblowers?
See, let us break it down this way. For one, I don't think the government so far they've erred as regards revealing or the secrecy of the identity of the whistleblower.
Okay, yes.
But it is the whistleblower now, as a result of the body language of the government, is threatening to now come out to reveal himself. Which I said, if I am in his shoes, I would do the same thing.
Is that not dangerous? Because that could also affect other whistleblowers that are planning to.
It is not dangerous. It may be a blessing in disguise. And I'll tell you why. Now, if the whistleblower, the identity of the whistleblower is known, you will now start to run a ring around him or her to know who he is associated with, or from where angle that money or that information could have come from. If it is you, Tobi, for goodness sake, we'll now start looking at this radio station. Maybe, yes, okay, maybe. Is there any man here who could have had that opportunity of having that money, or is he working for a front? Okay, if it is me, now you now know where to look at. Whether you now have to look at the cases I'm doing, Who are those and who are my clients? From which source would I have gotten this information? So in a way, it may be a blessing in disguise. But for goodness sake, we do not have to get to that stage. Because if we do, not only the policy, this whistleblowing policy will be at risk. Every other subsequent government policy will go down the drain.
Now, you said earlier that Nigerians are not ready yet for a fight against corruption.
Yes.
Now, and you said that every Nigerian will have to fight this corruption. How do you mean? How can we become ready, and how do we fight this corruption?
I want to give you an example with what happened yesterday in a court. Now, there was a belief that was supposed to serve a process that didn't serve the process. The lawyer came, reported the matter. The judge was so furious. Now, the judge made an order. Now, this particular thing has to be queried to show cause why this process was not served despite this. Now, in fact, we almost clapped in the courtroom. After some minutes, the lawyer now came back. My lord, I'm very sorry. I've just realized that the particular belief in question is the son of blah, Mr. Blah, blah, blah. You see, if I'm begging on his behalf now, oh my God. The judge said, look, I know Mr. Blah, blah, blah very, very well. He is a good man. But we are not talking of Mr. Blah, blah, blah. We are talking of the son of Mr. Blah, blah, blah. If the son had behaved like the father, he would not have found himself in this predicament. And if we leave this man unpunished, it will continue. So in other words, that is is part of the problem of the Nigerian society. Now, see, something happens, you catch somebody who is a thief, or somebody who has defrauded the nation. Okay? Now he happens to be an Igbo man. Now somebody from my area will now shout starting, yes, the Buhari is against the East. He's against the Igbos. Look at his punishing our son. For a minute, nobody will now ask this question. Did this person do this? What is on the border now is where he comes from. And that Buhari is anti that area. Is that how you punish? Is that how you fight? Is that how a people that wants corruption to be punished? You catch a thief now, or you go along the road, police stops a vehicle, discover that that vehicle was actually smuggled. Arrest the fellow to the police. If you right there under your nose, you will get a call from the IG. Somebody would have called the IG, and the IG will say release. Now when that IG says release, that policeman, will you think he will ever arrest and bring to the station? No. When he now arrests, he will now collect whatever he can collect from the fellow and allow the fellow to go. So that is the problem of the Nigerian society. Until we address this issue, until we address the issue of Omowani, if it is our Omowani should not be a thief, let us punish him. But when it is Omowani, enemy money, you allow that person to go, it will continue. It's an encouragement. That is why I tell you, we as a people, we are not yet serious.
Can we ever get out of this?
We can, yes, we can, but we need a leader who can set the ball rolling, who can say, okay, you are my fine. The mere fact that you are my own is the more reason why I'm going to punish you times 2.
And you think we don't have that leader yet?
Where is it? Show me.
All right, we'll have to go to break for the national news at 10. After the national news, we will come back. We'll have in the studio Lawyer Patrick Iwu. We're still looking at the whistleblowing policy, the many controversies and confusion surrounding it. Stay with us. All right, you're welcome once again. It's still Citizens for the Daybreak Show. It's beautiful Wednesday morning, the 15th of November 2017. And this morning, we're looking at the corruption war vis-a-vis the whistleblowing policy and the many controversies that it has generated. We have in the studio a legal practitioner, former chairman of the NBA Abeokuta branch in the state, Lawyer Patrick Iwu. If you want to be part of the discussion, you can call our studio lines 0809 868 7344 0909-146-9670. You can also reach us via the short code 32120. All you have to do is to type rock, leave a space, type your message, include your name, and send to 32120. You can also reach us on our social media networks. At Rock City FM is our Twitter handle. Rock City FM 11.9 is our Facebook fan page.
Can we start to pay calls now? Hello, good morning. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Tobi. My friend, Barrister Iwu.
Morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning for coming. My name is Dr. Nkong. Before I go to the main issue, I have to. You have made my day. Thank you very much. Thank you. Two statements which I've been pondering in my. Am I the only person having that feeling? But you have confirmed it. That Nigeria is not ready for anti-corruption war. And you made a statement that the one we voted for is not the Democrat, but the one of 1983, which I agree with you totally. You couldn't have been any better. You are very correct, absolutely correct. Nigeria, even are not ready for anti-corruption war. Even people who fall into wrong systems, you see the way they talk. You start to see, and these people are blaming government. Government is not this thing. Government is not this thing. You have teachers who are not doing well. Train teachers in Kaduna State. And the governor has come out to say they should go. We start saying they should not go. Well, because they have children to feed. Because they have in-laws. Is that the type of people who can fight corruption? They're not. They're just people who eat service. They're waiting for their own turn to eat. Not that they want to fight anti-corruption. That's number one. Number two, let's go of this whistleblower. I personally, I think that was a very bad law or very bad pronouncement. That was very bad, and I never supported it because I need to come to this. You go and give someone 850 million naira because he has found loot in Ikoyi, and yet you cannot pay salary, and then the whole state not pay salary and all that, and you say we are not fighting. That is even the same is corruption. What is the meaning of that? So I discovered money in Ashero. So you come and give the talk of 600 million because he discovered it. That's not the way to do it. I'm sure they did it in haste. They should pay the people and then stop that nonsense. We are getting far. We don't need whistleblowers to tell us more. And then we don't need them so much. If you want to whistleblow, then you are doing it on not because you want to get 10% of the loot and all that. That in itself is corruption. Thank you very much.
All right,
Thank you, Doctor.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Patrick Iwu.
Yes, I will start with Uncle. In fact, as a matter of fact, we almost had a head-on collision this morning at Ashero Gate. I was driving in and I was driving out. You may not know it's, I was the fellow. So, Doctor, well, yes, it is our civic responsibility as citizens to give vital information to security agents and all that. But then, you will also agree with me that we are in an unusual situation. How do we get this money out? If you ask me, the end, whatever, will justify the means. So we were in a situation where to catch a monkey, you have to behave like one. So that is on the premise upon which I support this whistleblowing. Encourage Nigerians, bring this information. Now, without this information, would we have been talking about this money? Who will voluntarily come and give us such information? Okay. Now, Olushola, yes, I agree with you completely that this controversy may be deliberate from EFCC. I agree with you completely. Completely. Knowing us the way we are, I agree with you because otherwise there was no basis for this in the first place. Now, the third caller from Ashero, unfortunately, I didn't get your name. Yes, there is no clear-cut blueprint policy. I agree with you now. Calling that person his name is itself hate speech. So the relevant government authorities should act on that. Well, the fifth caller, also I didn't get the name. Yes, it's a risky venture. Blowing that way, so particularly for such huge sums of money, it's a very, very risky venture. And somebody who even have that kind of the mind to do that, I mean, should be commended. And the only way to commend that person is to pay him what you have promised. For goodness sake, we are told this is government, federal government of Nigeria. If a day comes when the government cannot fulfill its own obligation it made voluntarily to its citizens, then we are in deeper problem. Now, yes, Mr. Yinka, reducing the money will not help. I think that is the problem with this issue of Ikoyi loot, as somebody has aptly described it, is the amount of money involved. Because there are other whistleblowers, and nobody is saying they are going to go mad over their own this thing. So why will you now reduce this because of what? Why don't we pay this fellow? It might encourage others with even bigger amount of money to come forward. Give them what they are entitled to. For goodness sake, if they now decide to pay some salaries in their state, that is their own this thing. But if they decide to eat it alone and quench alone, well, that is their own business. But my own is give them what they're entitled to. This is what you promised. Now, in support of yes, Mr. Taiwo, in support of it, I too I support it. Changing change to act or waiting, changing it now would not help. If the government is either, well, they decide to stop it, but if they are to even if they decide to stop it now, that fellow has to be paid. Yes, Mr. Kayode, I agree with you that this is time for decision making. In fact, we have to, it's time now. And that decision is to pay that fellow. Thank you.
All right.
Yes,
let me quickly add these messages. So, this one from IK Inifo says, please, sir, I am confused on this issue because the life of the man that blew the whistle is now in danger. Take it or leave it. But if I may ask, how come the whistleblower know that such huge amount of money was hidden there? What did he want to do in that? What did he want to do in that room before he saw the money? Where has he been? Okay, all right. Thank you for your message. What he's trying to say is that what actually led him
yes. How did they listen to making that
into that room that he discovered that? But he doesn't need to be in that room before he discovered. what came out was that there was a mysterious woman that was coming in sometime to just drop something, and then they felt, what is this woman bringing? To drop it.
Even at that, even the policy did not mention the why.
The why.
The thing is, give us information if we discover this. So
And
the why and this thing is irrelevant.
Yes. President Buhari is ready to fight corruption, but a tree cannot make a forest. There are a lot of saboteurs telling us the person will go insane is a lie. They feel the money is much to give to the whistleblower. That is the problem. That's Pius from Shaje. This is a yes. Okay. All right, your reactions now.
Yes, this issue of emergency powers, I agree to that. But then the thing is, under the circumstances, who will give the president the emergency power? A present crop of senators? That leaves, maybe till the kingdom come. Now, I just want to clear something. We see, we keep on saying this, in that somebody stole 100,000, he's sentenced to death. Another person stole 1 billion, is given a term of imprisonment. You see, the thing is, there's a way the system operates. Now, the thing is, you are charged for armed robbery. Even in the process of that armed robbery, you only stole 1 naira. You are dying. So the thing is, the crime you are facing. Now, you are charged for stealing. Steal 1 billion naira. There is no capital punishment. Now, having said that, now, I don't think the imposing capital punishment will solve our problem. The problem is not even that of punishment. I've always been of the opinion, even if you convict a politician, sentence him to imprisonment for 1 day, I am okay with that. Because that 1 day alone will rob him of his political career. His children and grandchildren becomes children and grandchildren of a rogue. So the issue of the amount of sentence for people like that, I mean, it's immaterial to me as a person. Now, yes, I have responded to the issue of what the fellow was doing there is immaterial. Let even the person go there to drop his own part of the law, but as long as he has blown the whistle that this thing is here and the money has been recovered, he's entitled to his money.
All right, let's quickly go through the comments on our Facebook page. Adewale Shibuale says it's quite unfortunate that government is exhibiting bad faith. The government states that anyone who leaks information about hidden money will go through all these unnecessary processes. A man's word is his bond, not to talk of the whole federal government of Nigeria. But I tend to disagree with your resource person that this country needs a Buhari of 1984. I don't think Nigerians deserve that level of heartlessness. Okay, that's Adewale Shibuale. Dejo Gudimu says, it is quite unfortunate that many Nigerians are yet to come to the reality that the APC and PNB's government is a government of deceit. This is the same government who had made several promises and later made U-turn to deny or renege from such promises. We used to call Jonathan's government a clueless government, but Buhari's government is a rudderless and grossly deceitful one. Your reaction?
Yes, let's start with the government of this. I do not think it's a government of deceit. No. You see, there's one thing I believe in. This government, for whatever is what has, there's this effort by the government to at least wage semblance of war. Throughout the 16 years of administration of PDP, how many thieves did they catch? Under yes, 6 years of Jonathan, how many thieves? Not even one. But at least we've seen some effort made by this government. It may not be far enough, I agree, but there is an effort. And well, of course, we all know the problem. Okay. Now, yes to Adewale, yes, it's in bad faith. Well, the issue of Buhari of 1983 is still my own personal opinion. And I still stand by it that Nigeria today needs such hard leader. I think it will make us to sit up.
All right, let's go back to the calls. 0809-868-7344. I appreciate you. Let's also wrap it up with the tweets and messages.
There's nothing to read there. As a matter of fact, they are saying their own opinion,
yes,
which is welcome. You see, but then I think the last this thing now, yes, the one talking about revolutions. Russia that did their own revolution 100 years ago. I think today they're even regretting it. Mm-hmm. Okay, yes, we don't. The kind of revolution we want in this part of the world is the revolution of the mind. Yes, Nigeria is, the corruption is rampant in Nigeria. All facets are alive. Corruption, but then God will not come down from heaven to fight corruption for us if we decide not to fight corruption. Okay. Now on the issue of the big daddy, well, yes, the issue of sand, well, it's a question of choice. If you have an issue, you have the right to a lawyer of your own choice. If it be sand, fine, that's okay. Now on the issue of yes, Olubenga, he made issue about governors and and Paris Club 1 and 2, and they are not paying. I think that is whistleblowing also. I wish you could step it up. Yes. Go and claim your audition. Mention those governors, mention those things. I mean, you're on the way.
All right, thank you from me for sending this message. If not, what I'm thinking, I think the whistleblower deserves to be given a title, because if I'm the one that saw the money, I know I would do more than blow whistle.
Maybe an statute bronze too in over there.
I tell you,
a bronze statue,
standing alongside
James
and Johnson Sirleaf. With this calamity on ground, I think Nigeria's solution is revolution. Harriet from Shade, I hope you mean revolution of the mind. I'm sure that is what you are calling for. Okay. All right. Thank you very much for your contributions, the comments on our Facebook page, the shortcode messages, the tweets. We appreciate every one of you. Now, let's wrap up this way. No doubt, we have a long way to go as regards fighting corruption. Are we institutionalizing this anti-corruption war so that one day, if Buhari is no longer the president, or if Oshimaju is not the vice president, or Magu is not the EFCC chairman?
I would have wished we institutionalized, and that was the mistake we made under Obasanjo era. Remember, it was General Obasanjo that this issue of EFCC and ICP. If that law had created, because it had created a tribunal, ICPC tribunal, EFCC tribunal, it would have helped a lot. But I think it is not too late. We can and we should.
All right, thank you very much, Lawyer Patrick Iwu, for honoring our invitation this morning.
Thanks for inviting me.
Every one of you. Thank you so much. That's our show this morning. Join us again tomorrow for another fresh edition. We start early at 7 a.m. I am Tobi Joseph. Have a wonderful day.